Welcome to this overview and demonstration of data synchronization capabilities in Couchbase Mobile. To start, let's look at the Couchbase Mobile product stack. This is the stack that enables offline-first mobile and edge applications. On the left, we have Couchbase Server, which is our flagship modern database server with support for SQL, analytics, full-text search, and eventing. Then on the right, we have Couchbase Lite, which is the embeddable version of Couchbase for mobile and custom embedded devices. Sync Gateway sits in between and is responsible for secure data sync, routing, and access control between mobile clients and server tiers. These capabilities can be deployed two ways: fully managed with Couchbase Capella, or self-managed, where customers install Couchbase themselves on public or private clouds, on a cloud edge service, or on-premises. Sync Gateway is built specifically for synchronizing data and providing authorization and authentication for large-scale mobile and IoT applications. First and foremost, Sync Gateway provides cloud-to-edge sync. This is the ability to synchronize data using a WebSockets-based protocol between Couchbase in the cloud and devices running Couchbase Lite, as well as between individual Sync Gateway deployments, including app services, the hosted and managed deployment of Sync Gateway on Couchbase Capella. Sync features include Delta Sync for bandwidth efficiency and automatic customizable conflict resolution, which is critical for large-scale multi-user applications. Sync Gateway also provides REST APIs that allow web clients to access sync data, as well as administrative APIs for working with deployment configurations and monitoring performance and event statistics. Access control is fine-grained, with channels for data segregation, read access control at the document level, and write access control at the field level. And for security, Sync Gateway handles user authentication and over-the-wire TLS encryption for edge devices, REST endpoints, and web clients. For this demonstration, we will focus on inter-Sync Gateway replication, which is the ability to sync data between Sync Gateway deployments in a multi-tier edge topology. The ability to replicate data between Sync Gateway deployments is a significant differentiator for Couchbase, as it enables complex edge topologies that can be many levels deep and meet nearly any requirement for availability and low latency. Inter-Sync Gateway replication is bidirectional, restarts automatically, and is designed to support deployments of up to thousands of edge nodes. The Sync Gateway access control model is fine-grained and comprised of documents, users, channels, and roles. The channel concept is core to the model. Every document in the database belongs to a set of channels, and every user is authorized to access a set of channels, providing comprehensive control over data access. Once a document is created, it is assigned to one or more channels, and users can only access documents and channels that they have been granted access to. Roles are assigned to users, and by doing so, the user inherits all channel access granted to those roles. This control can be changed at any time, as well as revoked, to prevent improper access. In this Sync Gateway access control example, there are two edges, Edge 1 and Edge 2. We also have three channels, two private and one shared. Documents for Edge 1 are in Channel 1, and documents for Edge 2 are in Channel 2. Both channels are private and can only be accessed by the edges assigned to access them. But in the shared channel, both edges can access the documents. The ability to provide specific levels of access to specific users and roles is one of the ways that Sync Gateway enables highly secure applications. Access assignments are made in the Sync Gateway configuration file within the sync function. Also, users need to be provided access to a given channel or group of channels via the admin channel's configuration setting during user creation or via updates to the sync function. Once users have been granted access to channels, you use the JavaScript-based sync function to ensure that channel permissions are followed to allow or reject access. Now let's hear from Wayne Carter, VP of Engineering at Couchbase, who will show a live demonstration of Couchbase Mobile synchronization in action.
Okay, what I'm going to demonstrate here is how to set up an edge computing architecture for managing bags at an airport. This is the architecture that I'm going to create. I'm going to create it all on my local machine. The only difference between how you would do this locally on your dev setup or deploying it to production would be that the gateways and databases that I deploy on my machine today would be deployed in your different cloud and edge infrastructure. Okay, so I'm going to set up databases in each of the regions, the cloud regions and the edge regions, and I'm going to set up gateways that front end those. And I'm also going to set up the synchronization between all of those parts of the system. All right. And then I'm going to demonstrate this flow where all baggage data is stored in the east and west. No matter where you write the data, it will be shared across the east and west region. And then baggage that is targeting LAX will be in the LAX database. And then baggage that is targeted for New York City will go into the New York City database. All right, so now we need to set this up. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set up the databases. So let's go into Couchbase server and just set up a bucket for each one of these. So I'm going to set up one for East. I'm going to set the memory low just because this demo is small. The West. All right, so now databases are all set up for each location. Get back to setting up the rest. All right, so the next step is going to be to set the gateway in the East. I'm going to show you all of the configuration that I have for all of these gateways here in my IDE. You can see here that I have a directory for each of the locations, East, West, New York City, and LAX. And then I have a demo directory that holds the demo scripts that we'll be going through. All right, so let's look at the East. And inside this directory, I have the configuration for the sync gateway, a shell file for launching the gateway binary that's sitting right next to it, and passing in this config. So let's look at the config. So this is the config for this gateway node. It includes an admin user that's going to be used for all of the demo scripts that we run. Then it has 3 users set up, one for the West, one for New York City, and one for LAX, so that these synchronization lines, when we go and turn those on, can connect. And then the user will also filter the data that's synchronized with the individual users based on their channel membership. So this is a security policy. The New York City user will only receive New York City documents that are put into the New York City channel, and LAX for the LAX channel. They will be channeled into those individual channels via the sync function using channel doc.airport. So if a record comes in and .airport is New York NYC, it will go to NYC. And if it doc.airport is LAX, it will go to LAX. And if it's some other value like ATL, then it won't go to either one of these. It'll just stay in the East and West. And then I have Delta Sync enabled also just for Delta compressing any changes that I make. All right, so let's go ahead and run this one. So this will start up on the default port, which is 4984 and 4985. Let's move on to setting up the West while that one gets set up. Okay, so now we're going to set up the West gateway along with the synchronization between the East and West gateway. So let's look at what that looks like. So same directory structure, just the config is different. So in this case, I have the admin that we'll use for demo, and then I have New York City and LAX users. That's to support these synchronization lines between these edge data centers with the West. I have the same sync function, and then my replication is set up to replicate. That's this line right here in the middle, is to replicate with, so I'm running each of these on their own ports on my local machine. So you can kind of tell the difference by looking at this. East is running on 4984, and you can see that here. 4984, 4985, here it is here. All right. And then it's replicating with the West is replicating with the East using the West username. That was the user I pointed out earlier. So let's go ahead and start that. All right, and that one will start up on 5984, 5985. All right, so let's move forward to setting up New York City. I'm going to go ahead and kick that off and then talk through what I'm doing there. So I have to set up this gateway and then the synchronization between East and West. Let's look at that. I see. All right, we have the admin user that'll be used for the demo, the same sync function channeling to airport. Then I have my 2 replications set up. This is using the NYC user for both and targeting 4984, which is East, and 5984, which is west. You can see that here, 5984. All right, and now it started on 6984.85. All right, so let's move on to doing LAX. So LAX, let me go ahead and start that while I'm showing the config. LAX has the admin user for the demo, the same channeling function for the sync function, and then the replications for east and west are set up using the LAX user. All right, so now we have a fully running system. Let's get into the demo. All right, so for the first demo, what I'm going to do is write 3 bags 1, 2, 3, to airports NYC, NYC, and ATL. So NYC and NYC will end up in the West and East data centers and the New York City data center. And then the Atlanta one will end up in the East and West data center, but no other data center. And you can see that I'm targeting at the East via this port. And you see that I just hard-coded my user and password into the put. So you can see I'm using admin. All right, so let's go ahead and write those. They're written. Let's go find those in the database. Right, starting in East, we should see all 3, which we do, bags 1 through 3. Looking in the West, we should see all 3, which we do, 1, 2, 3. NYC should have 2 bags, bag 1 and 2, which it does. You can see in the airport name, it's NYC here, so it's targeted correctly. It doesn't include the ATL one. And then LAX should be empty because we don't have any bags for LAX yet. All right, so all of those went to the right locations. All right, so let's get to the next script. And what will that do? So what this is going to do is write 3 additional bags to LAX and SFO. So LAX will end up in the 2 cloud data centers, East and West, and then the LAX data center. SFO will be in East and West, but not in any of the other data centers. All right, and you can see that I'm writing those to 5984 port, which means I'm writing to the West data center. All right, that was successful. So let's look at each one. We'll just check LAX. There they are, 4 and 5. We'll check the West. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is correct. East, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is correct. And then NYC, just bag 1 and 2, which is correct. So all of the bags are in the right locations. Writing in the East and writing in the West. Okay, let's move to the next one. All right, so the next one is going to write baggage documents to New York City. All right, so you can see via the port that we're going to New York City, and then writing bags 7 and 8 to that airport. All right, let's go ahead and write those. Okay, New York City, we have 1, 2, 7, and 8. So we have the right bags in that location, and these should synchronize to East and West. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, which is correct. West, bags 1 through 8, which is correct. And then LAX is 4 and 5, which is correct from our previous writes. All right, all the bags are in the right locations. Let's just do the last one. And that's going to write baggage to LAX. So let's look at this one. So you can see it's targeting 7984, which is the LAX data center. And then it's writing bags 9 and 10 to the LAX airport. All right, those have been written. So let's look at them. And LAX. There we go, 4, 5, 9, 10, correctly targeted. Also be in the West. You should see 1 through 10 here, which we do. 1, 10, and then 8, 2 through 9. You should see them in the East. 1, 10, 2 through 9, which we do. And then we should not see anything in New York City except for the New York City bags, which we do. 1, 2, 7, and 8. So that's the end of the demo. We've added documents we set up an edge architecture that manages data for multiple regions and airports, and then writing data in every part of the system and showing that it synchronizes to the airports where the baggage information is needed.
Couchbase brings the ability to securely and efficiently sync data between the cloud and the edge, enabling multi-tiered edge architectures that provide the highest guarantees of speed and availability for mission-critical applications.